Good morning. We're going to call the meeting to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me for prayer. Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance on this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligation. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen.
Amen.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 2nd public hearing and the December 2nd Commissioners meeting.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Next, we have public comment regarding pending resolutions. Is there any public comment regarding pending resolutions? Seeing none, we'll move on to resolutions. Leading us off today is Jeremy Cinco from Sanitary Engineer, or who happens also to be the sanitary engineer.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Jeremy.
5 resolutions for consideration today. The first is amending the fee and charge schedule for the Medina County sanitary sewer and water systems. The second is authorizing revisions to the Medina County Sanitary Engineers Code of Regulations. The third is authorizing the sanitary engineer to request statement of qualifications for design services. The fourth is authorizing the sanitary engineer to enter into an agreement with Hazen and Sawyer for professional design services to analyze the Westfield wastewater treatment plant option. And the fifth is authorizing the sanitary engineer department to purchase a 4x4 single rear-wheel drive pickup truck for the line maintenance department.
I'll make a motion to approve the 5 resolutions.
Second motion.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion? No? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Holly Murin from Human Resources. HM from HR.
HM from HR. On our personnel resolution today, we have 1 new hire in sanitary, 1 appointment change at county home, 4 rate increases, 2 at job and family services, 2 in sanitary, 1 leave of absence in transit, 2 resignations, 1 at county home and 1 in transit, and 1 retirement in sanitary.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Next up, Brett Thomas from Finance.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I have 8 resolutions for you today, but one of them is a correction, actually, so technically 7. Our first resolution is expenditure adjustments for various funds. For the most part, this is grant movements. And then we had a movement for sanitary for the changeover of an invoice paid from the wrong fund. Our second resolution is cash transfers for the Social Service Levy Fund. This covers the Medina County Alcohol, Drug Addiction, Mental Health Board, Job and Family Services, and the McSass. Our third resolution is accepting an addendum to the proposal for ISA to conduct an economic and sales tax revenue forecast for Medina County. We passed a resolution a couple weeks ago for the population study. This one was at my request to add to that, so thank you for your blessing on that. The cost is an additional $6,000, but will cover a 5, 15, and 25-year forecast for impact on sales tax and other permissive revenues, which will become more important for us in meeting the needs of the county going forward. Our fourth resolution is the transfer for the print shop revenue for the month, and that is $380.55 for the month of November. Our fifth resolution is our gasoline revenue for the month of November in the amount of $16,531.62. Our sixth resolution is expenses for county officials. This is the only one we have this week is for the sheriff for a new trainee for the police academy. Our seventh resolution is our weekly bills in the amount of $1,591,893.51. And then finally, we have a small correction to a resolution that was passed on October, I think it was October 21st, that we had deposited had made an adjustment for $5,000 in budget that had hit the wrong line item, and we are making that adjustment back to the correct line item going forward.
I'll make a motion to approve the 8 resolutions.
Second the motion.
Motion second, is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, when I was down in Columbus last week for the Commissioners Association, I ended up mentioning that we were going to be studying the projected growth or potential growth in our permissive taxes and so forth. And there was a lot of interest in some of my fellow commissioners as to, likewise, because we know, based upon the current legislation and likelihood of the governor signing the bill, will basically be capped at growth, really any significant growth in property taxes without going to the ballot. And so we'll be much more reliant upon these kind of forecasts and these kind of revenues long-term. And I think when I told them the price, they said, wow, give us the information of this kind. I'm not sure whether we'll get a finder's fee
Yeah, we
or
should have
anything like
negotiated
that.
that, yeah.
It is very
But it
reasonable.
seemed to be kind of interested. They're all looking likewise as to long-term what the revenues are going to be available for the counties to cover our mandated services that we have to provide. So that's
great.
Okay, thanks.
Additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Brett. Next up is Matt Springer, County Administrator.
Good morning. I have 5 resolutions. The first one is approving design services with Envelope Consulting. This is 2025 capital improvements over at the Highway Engineering Center. Second resolution is authorizing the Sheriff's Office to accept a donated 2009 ambulance. This would be received from Sharon Township's Fire Department. Third resolution is authorizing the Medina County Sheriff to add a seized vehicle to their county fleet. This would be used for covert operations. Fourth resolution is approving a contract for medical services at the jail for 2026 in the amount of $55,000. This is an annual contract that we execute with the Healthcare Authority. And then fifth and final is approving a contract with Alternative Paths. Again, this is kind of an annual agreement that we enter into with Alternative Paths for 2026 at the jail to assist with substance abuse and mental health disorders.
I'll make a motion to approve the 5 resolutions.
Second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Matt. Next up, we have department updates, and Del Saffel's here from the dog shelter to kick us off.
DS from DS.
There you go.
Well, we'll give department updates from the last time I was in, September 9th to currently. From September 9th to yesterday, we've had 53 additional dogs come through the shelter. Out of the 53, 43 dogs were strays, 9 were surrendered by the owners. 1 was actually on a police hold that the police department brought us for somebody was arrested. During this period of September 9th to yesterday, we've adopted out 21 dogs. 21 was reclaimed by the owners. 7 went to rescue. And we currently still have 13 dogs available at the shelter now. They're all available. They will be within a day or two, depending on the hold stray. The average stray currently is about 4 days. If once the hold stray's up, they're available for adoption. During the year 2025, we've put 0 dogs down this year. Absolutely none. The volunteers have been coming in on a daily basis, usually 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Since September 9th to yesterday, the volunteer hours are approximately about 164 hours that they volunteered. On October 7th, 2 of the shelter workers visited Claggett Middle School, 8th grade class. One of the volunteers is a teacher there, and they set it up for other wardens to go and talk with the class and talk about the dog laws and the routines. We did do the play group training October 18th and 19th, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday was a nice day. Sunday rained all day, but we did it. It was about 10 hours a day, and we went through it. We are doing play groups at the shelter now, weather permitting and the dogs permitting. We had a volunteer come in the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. They served the dogs Thanksgiving dinner. She was very choice picky about what she gave the dogs, and it worked out okay. So one of the volunteers, Allison, it comes in on a regular basis. This Monday, December 15th, coming up, we're going to be doing pictures with Santa at the dog shelter. It'll be 10 to noon. Santa will be there and take pictures. You can bring your dog in, take pictures, or your children if you want. It'll be set up in the front office, the lobby. Yesterday, we had an inspection by the Lafayette Township Fire Department. They come through and found 0 things wrong, 0 codes. So we passed that. And also remind everybody that the 2026 dog licenses are on sale right now, from December 1st to January 31st. So you can buy them without penalties, avoid citations, or we get a lot of dogs in that don't have licenses on them. If you buy the license, put it on the dog. We have one now that we're waiting for the owner to come. It has a license, but it wasn't on the dog. The dog come in Saturday. It took us till yesterday to figure out who the owner was. So if you buy them, put them on the dog. So, and that's it.
Great. Thanks. It's great to hear all the way the volunteers are getting involved and kind of adding things to the shelter and
Yeah, I'm trying to
services.
do more orientations, trying to get them involved. Like I said, they come in with the Thanksgiving dinner. The one was at the school, and she wanted us to come and talk to their class, so we did that.
Good.
They're coming in for help with pictures with Santa. They're doing stockings for all the dogs. We're going to hang up through the shelters. We had the class paint a bunch of pictures and stuff, so they're all through the shelter.
Oh, that's nice.
Pictures posted all through the kennels.
Great. Good stuff.
Great.
Thanks, Del.
Thanks.
Appreciate the update.
Good job.
And next we have Metro Housing here for an update from the of the Next Step Up shelter. That's Jesse Kane.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I want to start with an acknowledgement, first of all, and perhaps an introduction for some of you. Tom O'Connell, who is the authority's incoming executive director, started with us last week. So we are very happy that he's here. I want to start off with just the impact reports that I had put on your desks there, just to give you kind of an update for where we are at currently. So Next Step Up, since February 28th, 2025, almost 10 months of being open, we've served over 173 people, and that's humans. So households, it's about 153 households, but 173 humans have come through our doors needing assistance. 18 of those humans have been little humans, so kiddos have been served at the shelter. We are seeing success very quickly, which we are very happy about, and the momentum is rising, it's increasing, which we're very happy about. Landlords are finally seeing that people can change, people can do different, so we're very grateful for everybody for that. 40 households have self-resolved, 23 successfully entered into their own lease agreements. Our clients often comes with lots of barriers, criminal histories, eviction history, no income, things like that. So point of getting them into shelter, stabilizing them, working on those, truly breaking down those barriers so people can move on is what we're seeing. 8 veterans have been served. 32 people have secured employment. So over 50% of our guests who enter Next Step Up do have some type of employment. And this is just additional 32 people have gotten some type of meaningful employment somewhere in the community. And then per night, 27-bed facility, we are at 23.96 beds typically occupied per night. Winter months, we're probably going to be more full than we typically are. Just because it's colder, there's more of a need. And today we are full. I just wanted to give a little update on the financials for 2026. Our annual operating budget is $600,000. This year into next year, we'll be carrying over $120,000 about from the Department of Development, which was funding the 2025 budget. 120 of that from Department of Development, and then an anticipated $150,000 from the JFS PRC funding contract that we are in with JFS. $100,000 obviously from the commissioners, and then each city has committed $50,000. Medina committed $50,002, Brunswick $50,001, and Wadsworth $50,000. So with that, we'll have about an $80,000 gap in funding, but we're going to raise that philanthropically, fundraising, donations, things like that. So we feel pretty good about where we're going to be at for 2026. And that is all I have, unless there's questions.
Great. Good job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for the update.
Yes.
Congratulations
Super. Yeah, and
again.
welcome, Tom.
Thanks. Welcome, Tom.
Next, we have a few commissioners' resolutions. The first one is appointing members to the Transportation Improvement District. This is appointing Jeff Brandon, Bethany Dentler, Paul Magavac, Chris Cosman, and Conrad Cernowski to the Transportation Improvement District.
I'll make motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion second, is there any discussion? As always, we appreciate everyone's service on these committees. Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Next is designating official representative and alternate for the purpose of voting at the annual meeting of the County Commissioners Association of Ohio. This is for the next calendar
For next
year.
year, yeah.
And it's appointing Steve as the primary official and myself as the alternate.
Make motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Next is appointing members to the Medina County Port Authority Board of Directors, and this appoints, we had two applicants, Alan Beal and Krista DeBronos, as our two representatives on the Port Authority Board of Directors for next year.
I'll make motion
I'm
to.
sorry, it's a 3-year term.
3 years.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion and second, just want to make sure that didn't change your willingness to make the motion. Roll call, please.
Really?
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. And then last, we are approving appointments to the Medina County Community Corrections Planning Board.
Make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Next up is public comment, and this is a 5-minute public comment for any members of the public who are here who wish to speak. Yes, we've got one in the back. And just, come up here, please, to the microphone, identify yourself, and then the
Good morning.
5 minutes will begin. Good morning.
Amanda Chapman. I am here on behalf of Elite and Sharon Falls Development. I just had a couple of questions. You already said that all of these resolutions were to go into effect for the sanitary. So we've had many issues, but one of the issues for the first change in the sanitary regulations were the right-of-ways. So we have, Mark's been doing right-of-ways for 35 years. For some reason, they have now been pushed out 36 feet from the actual right-of-way of the at the ends of the road. Then you have 30 more feet on beyond that. They've been pushed out 36 feet past that, so that all the same things that fit before can go in there. So when it says in this resolution that off-site sanitary and sewer water mains may be installed within the public right-of-way or with a dedicated easement, there's no reason that the easement, unless there's, sufficient justification that the soil's incorrect, there's too much rock, something, but that needs, we're not taking that with a grain of salt, because it's improper taking of land of 36 feet in a Dries home or a Pulte home. That would be their entire front yard. We have larger lots in our development, so it's okay. It's just, we'll just make it easy on ourselves, and that's not fair to the taxpayers. They can't use that land. So that easement,
So you're saying it reads an additional 36 feet?
this is what it reads here. I'll show you. So this is what we had to do, and I have the emails back and forth from our land surveyors, and they say we need additional feet for this, for the easements. This is what it used to look like. In comparison, this is where we are. It's been moved 18 feet on either side of the road into taxpayers' property. So these dedicated easements need to be justified. Because they're not justified on this at all. It's just easier for them to get in there and put in whatever they want to put in. And I understand, and I've read all of the waterworks codes, so I understand that having certain things 10 feet apart, layered differently, is important, but that's unacceptable. And the only way that we could have our plat approved was with this easement on there. For another day, but just the dedicated easement, that easement needs to be justified sufficiently, not just it's easier for us to get in there.
So, and just to clarify, we'll kind of set your time.
Yes.
We'll pause, because I do have a question about that. we've heard people come in and talk about like fiber lines and things like that. That extra space is the place where that's
No,
not.
no.
So this would
This
be,
is all the same stuff that we've been putting in for 35 years. You have your storm pipe ditches, your gas line, your sanitary sewer line, then you have a 12-foot electric easement. And if you like, you can look, that's
Yeah.
all the things that are put on there. But those easements need to be justified, and we are not okay moving forward, and we will not, again, ever agree to that. And we are putting in another development, and I'll tell you that I will be the one reading every single road section that we have. And if you look at the top part, that's what it used to be, that other side of
Yeah,
that paper.
yeah.
Yep,
okay. So the 12 feet utility easement begins at the edge of the new.
yes, the
Footage,
18
okay.
feet on either side of the right-of-way.
Gotcha.
Okay, the next thing on for your resolution was, the water meters will be sized by the county. We just paid a lot of money to an attorney to go through this situation properly. That's fine. For them to do to do their job and to size them. However, in our homes, people add outbuildings that have 2 bathrooms in them. They put pools in. They put other water features. They build onto their houses, and they have plenty of room to do that, and it is their right to do that. When the county says, well, that's all that, when you fill this all out, it says how many bathrooms is in this new construction. It doesn't give you any future, additions that possibly could happen. Irrigation, anything, they may be using irrigation through a well, or they may use it through the county's water. We don't know. If they put it in later, they should have the ability to do that. Sizing these meters has been an issue as of recently, never before. And when they size the meters, they want to put them inside. Half of our people that live in our developments are gone half a year. If they have to get inside, they're charged for them to not be able to get inside, but they're not there. We request that they are pit vaults. So we would like them all to be outside, which has been the going way for Sharon Falls development. But then sizing the meter, they size the meters so small, we put 2-inch lines into our homes. They're huge because we do have more water. We do have bathtubs that are twice the size of a normal person's bathtub. We do have those things in our homes, and there's just black and white box. There's no gray area for any of this stuff. So sizing the meter, that's fine, but we should be able to upsize the meter. If we want to pay for that, we should be able to do that. And there's been back and forth and saying, oh, you can't do it because it doesn't read right. No, that was never an issue before. What's not reading right is the automated meter are not reading right. And I know that a lot of people in Wadsworth have been getting water bills that are just extremely out of the question. You couldn't even imagine a 1,200 square foot house using 27,000 gallons of water. They only have one bathroom. My sister, she got this ridiculous, oh, well, the meters have been changed and it was a big thing. These meters that we're putting in, these little houses, these big houses, need to be big meters. And that's fine, you can size them, but we should be able, and it doesn't say that we can't, but just put it on the record, we should be able to upsize them at our cost. We're already paying for it. There's no reason that one of our clients need to pay for it twice because they want to put in an outbuilding. We don't get to say, there's a future outbuilding that can go on there. We don't get to give you that information. It's not on the application. So that's fine, size them, but we should be able to upsize them. And I'm just about done here. Oh, I asked for a few things from Mr. Cinco about this automated meters and all this fee schedule. It's been changed quite a few times. There's people that have quite a few questions about it. And we get asked those questions as a developer, and unfortunately, I'm married to these people and I live in the development, which makes it very difficult. So they ask us these questions. I can't give them answers. I did request the information, and I know that Denise Testa did send it over to you, Mr. Cinco, and I did not get that information when I requested it. It was just about where we are with this whole automated meter reading. $40 it costs for them to come in to read these meters. We're not to come out to read these meters. We want to know why all of this has changed. You're saving money, yet we have a fee schedule that continues to grow. This is the third one in 3 years that has been changed. So as the people that keep paying the bills, we would like to know how this automated meter system is working. And I did request that information. I haven't gotten it yet. I hope to get it soon. And And then just that 505.19, it's the same thing with the right-of-way. As long as these 10 feet from the ponds, as long as these lines are 10 feet from the ponds in the right-of-way, that's fine. We don't care. But keep those in the right-of-way. That's all I have. You can have it.
I was going to ask, some of these issues, as that subdivision regulation committee goes forward next year, some of these issues could potentially be on the agenda, correct?
I would hope so. Yeah. I mean, I think the goal is to kind of
As we go through that
streamline.
process, like, these are the kind of things that we hope to get, discussions for.
And
going
we've
forward.
I mean, in the amendments we approved today, I think we stopped short of revisiting some of the things that have been proposed in connection with those changes too, because we want to give that an
Right,
opportunity
right.
to play out.
And
so.
I read all of these, and everyone that comes, I read them all. And then I do my due diligence for them. There's, most of the time, it's just a change. Change happens, and we have to go with that flow. But some of these things, it's almost a direct, it's like, you almost feel crazy. I'm like, so we just had to hire an attorney to have our meters properly done, and now we change these to, the county's gonna size the meters, and that's gonna be a change today. No, the reason we had to do that was because there was an issue, and you just saying, I'm gonna size them now and there's nothing you can do is a problem, because you're not taking into account anything that we had to say.
Well, I do think some of these things are, they will evolve as a result of experiences, and whether I would stop short of saying it's anything targeted, but I think as we have problems with the way things go in or the understanding of those things, that to me, as somebody who drafts documents, I haven't drafted these documents fortunately, but drafts documents for a living, that's a lesson you learn and you try to incorporate that into future rounds. So I mean, I think that's somewhat to be expected.
And acceptable.
But we do want there to be some give and take, and so we're all working together to
I
get
just think
resolved.
that one of the points you made, it's reasonable going forward with these subdivision regulations on lots that have larger sizes where there could be potentially additional outbuildings. It's a reasonable discussion to have when you are having the committees for the subdivision
Yeah,
regulations.
and our
It's a
fees-
reasonable topic.
And our fee schedule, I think, addresses that, right? I mean, if there's a larger meter there or a larger supply there, then the rates are adjusted accordingly, so.
Rates are adjusted accordingly, but actually getting the meter that is required for the amount of water you're gonna use is there, we have no say in that.
Okay.
That is being taken from us regardless of what we know may happen in the future. And I'll tell you, when I make specification sheets, which are 40 pages long for each home that we do, there are future outbuildings that I have to put in larger lines for, or put in, some gas lines that are stubbed to get to there. There are future things that we do know about.
Right.
So it would be easy to tell the county, no, they said they may have a future pool. If there's a may have in there, they should have the right to do it. So, but we don't, like I said, we don't have that option. And I guess I could just asterisk it on the bottom of the, may have a future pool, but then they'll just send it back because improperly filled out, so.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And Jeremy and his staff will be responding to your information
thank you.
requests.
Anyone else here for public comment? We're going to, discussion. You're on my list for discussion, if that's okay.
You're not public.
Okay, yeah, with that, we are moving to discussion session. We do have Captain Conwell here from the Sheriff's Office. I started to misspeak. And this is a continuation from the special meeting yesterday that I unfortunately was not able to attend. So I appreciate you coming back to kind of continue this discussion related to body cameras, tasers, and the like. So, please.
Happy to answer anything out of the working session on the body cameras if you have anything specific. And then beyond that, answer any questions you
Well,
may
and
have
just to
about the
explain,
flock
we
system.
did have this special meeting because there's deadlines for the purchases and the lock-ins that would miss our public hearings in January.
Right.
So we brought this discussion up earlier yesterday so that we would meet the necessary deadlines.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you having had the opportunity to since then to go through the information. I do appreciate the concept of bundling in order to help control the increase in costs. And I think maybe in the discussion, probably more emphasis should have been done on the qualitative improvement with these upgrades. Basically, you're upgrading qualitatively the tasers as well as the body cameras.
Correct.
This is just not a simple utilizing refurbished equipment kind of situation, which is what you're currently doing.
It's moving several generations forward in the equipment.
And I think that was, I'll just say you buried the lead. So the lead
We'll
ought
do
to be,
better next
we are trying to improve the use of non-lethal, so it is much more effective. Secondly, also, in terms of the body cameras, the resolution, the reliability, you're having reliability issues, and obviously that helps deal with various issues of documenting what it's meant to record, as well as making sure that it minimizes, we'll just say, misunderstandings or misrepresentation of things that occur in enforcement activity.
In its entirety, it's all risk mitigation.
Which is, yeah, and I think for the general public to understand, yes, it's costing us more, but legitimately why we're paying more.
Right.
For that. It's a qualitative improvement. And
Yes,
now that's what I appreciate it.
Yep.
So like I said, you kind of buried the lead yesterday, which I understand for somebody that's actually working the deal and trying to get it done, for those of us and trying to explain to the public why we're spending significantly more money over the next 5 years than we might have anticipated, because we're getting a qualitative improvement.
Right.
Increased safety, as you say, mitigation of risks, and all those other factors that ought to be part of the public record. So, but I do appreciate all the time and effort that you and the sheriff and the staff have put into this.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
and
Mr. Wood.
I would just add, I mean, the potential for additional exposure in the absence of, the body cameras or even the non-lethal options that we have probably outweighs the cost anyway. So, and we just want to make sure that we have our operation equipped to do the job that they need to do. It's a dangerous job, and we want to have them equipped to do it. So, I actually do, I think the other thing, and this probably did come up yesterday, want to acknowledge that, we've kind of worked with the tools that we have, the prior generation tools you mentioned, in an effort to save money, because we had a little bit of this discussion last year too about if we could kind of get another year out of them. I think we've done that, but with the system moving kind of to a single source provider on this stuff, now seems like a good time to lock it in. So I'm in favor of moving forward too, but I also want to acknowledge the work that you've done to kind of, I guess, maybe stave off the inevitability of some of this too along the way. So,
Thank you.
anything else? And again, I wasn't here and haven't.
I guess
familiarized
comfortable
myself with
moving
minutes.
forward
Okay.
next week with
Yep.
a resolution
Yeah,
approving
it
it.
was a good discussion.
Yep.
Yep.
Good.
Would you like to have any additional dialogue on the flock system? Any questions we can answer there?
I haven't seen the minutes from yesterday.
We deferred that until you were present, but I just asked for copies, and Rhonda was able to pull some of the resolutions we've had in the past.
Yep.
And I'm doing additional research in terms of the terms and conditions
Right.
about how those cameras operate within within national context and the access through multiple parties of data that's generated locally.
Right. And I, as the resident libertarian, that's probably why you were waiting for me. I do have philosophical concerns about those that are that admittedly may even be irrational at this point, because having not looked at the terms and conditions, I just have this inherent fear that law-abiding citizens are going to have their information recorded and retained in a way that maybe even violates the terms and conditions of what it says they're going to do. And I don't mean that as a criticism of Flock specifically. It's just a concern that I have that's inherent, because I guess, some of the fiction I've read along the way.
If I could maybe just give this a brief and high level how the system works, and I won't pretend to be an expert on it, but I've spoke with them and asked for the layman's best presentation of how it works. The flock systems, we've seen them throughout the county and other parts of the state and the country for that matter. What they do is capture a single picture. So it's only the data that is contained within a picture that the essentially human eye could pick up. Takes that snapshot, their software takes all the data that's within that picture, queries out to, in this case, NCIC or the system itself, looking for any alerts. If it sees a connection, it then reports back the alert. So as far as the flock system goes, the only information that it stores in its databases is the picture. There's no personal information. There's no data that ties it to any human being other than the picture itself. In the case of their own system where we use the tool, often we get elderly folks or people at risk that are out driving around. The family says, hey, they took off. We haven't seen them in a half a day. This is unlike them. We're able to go into the system, put their license plate number into the system, and it picks up where that car has maybe hit around the system and helps us guide us to those folks. That happens fairly regularly. The I'll call it the proactive law enforcement side is it gets that picture, it looks at the license plate, it queries NCIC, the law enforcement database. It sees that there's a hit within NCIC, and then it tells the system back that there is an alert. It provides no information back. It only says that the information exists somewhere else, and then it requires the law enforcement officer or the dispatcher, whoever's on the system, to then, through their normal means and channels, to acquire that data as they would if they saw it with their own eyes. That's kind of the proactive side of it. And then there's the investigative tool side of it, where we query the system. We had a white truck with right rear end damage that was seen committing a crime. That's maybe the limited, maybe the make of the vehicle. We can put in Ford, white, damage to rear quarter panel, and Flock will query its pictures to see if there's a picture that matches that, and then gives us a list of potential vehicles that were maybe in whatever geographical area that we searched.
So for it to do that, though, it has to have a picture of more than just a license plate.
It's got the whole vehicle.
Yeah, I thought, so if now it's keeping more than just the license plate photos and again, there's a balancing that has to happen here, because I support, obviously, the tools that you all need to do your job effectively, but the concern I have is weighing that against the cost of civil liberties, quite frankly, of now we've got surveillance of vehicles just going about their business, running down the road. And, if it's a license plate photo or now it's a picture of the car or whatever else, then how many of those, if that database were compromised before the information, I know.
But the point is, all law enforcement agencies have access to it through the alert system, right? And then they can query, and then be able to draw that and say, okay, at this point in time, whatever this was that tripped it, the license plate number, let's say, that it just says, okay, it was here at this time, and so forth, and they can utilize that information for investigative purposes, correct?
Correct. The information, those snapshots are kept for 30 days.
Yeah.
The information is, our cameras retain our information. It's on us to who we give access to get the information from our
Can they
cameras.
get access without your knowledge?
No one can get access that we haven't given permission to.
So who have you given permission to?
Other law enforcement agencies.
So, and I guess that, in other words, that goes all the way up to the federal level as well
no,
as within
we can.
the
It's
state level?
It's on a individual request. So we get requests all the time.
To access your data.
To access our data, and we do
Yeah.
the same thing that when,
Right, yeah,
when we have an area that we're looking at or
The
something.
benefit is being able to share it within the law
Yeah,
enforcement
we
community.
ask for
And the
it
question
too.
is, how many cameras do you need to get to the, and I think that's from a libertarian standpoint, is how many do you
My answer
need
is zero.
for law enforcement purposes
Yeah.
versus basically making, on any public street, you have constant surveillance of the general public that all law enforcement agencies have access to.
I
Basically,
think
Big Brother
that's
everywhere you go.
a kind of a interesting question. Larger
Yeah.
cities,
Yeah.
in some cases, have them on every block.
Yeah.
Hundreds and
That's
hundreds
the-
and hundreds
yeah.
within their city.
Yeah.
Here in the county, collectively between all the cities
Mm-hmm.
and the county, we maybe have, I'm guessing, 60 to 100 in the county. The investigative tool side of it, what we do now, this is one of the first things that law enforcement goes to. When we have a real-time crime, a robbery, a burglary, we go to usually a vehicle description. Somebody has some information, we look there. As we start to parse back the investigation, we then start going canvassing door to door. Do you have ring cameras? Do you have driveway cameras? Do you have business cameras to collect that same data? And many times it's collecting that data from residents and other people that participate with law enforcement to allow us to get somebody that might have driven by at a certain time. We take that, then we go back, we query the flock with a little bit of information and try to build the case out from there. So from a flock investigative tool, it's a picture of the rear of the vehicle, most often more one-sided because it's on the side of the road, so you don't get a whole shot, you're getting a back shot. It's to the rear because in Ohio it's a rear plate state, so that's where the license plate is. And I could happy to show you the snapshots. It's most often from a distance of 100 feet or so, so it's just a back shot of the vehicle. Rarely are you able to see the people in the vehicle. You might get some shadows of some human beings, never the faces because it's always from the rear. That it's just as law enforcement involved, one of the times we talked about the taser being a significant change in law enforcement technology many years ago when there was no other options. Flock from an investigative perspective is almost as transformational to law enforcement and the things that we're doing. To be able to take, again, cameras have been around for a long time on homes and other things like that. We used to get that data, but then you got to put it on the news. Hey, this is the vehicle we're looking for, things like that, and count on the public to say, yep, I think that's my neighbor's vehicle, and you look into a bunch of different things. But this kind of accelerates that process. So understand the concern, but I do not believe within the flock system itself, other than the picture, there is any human being that is actually tied to the picture.
Yeah.
You have to take it another step.
But you're still
Right.
recording that vehicle and so forth in a larger database, and with the innovations of AI and the algorithms involved where it's learning, is the access and utilizing that information.
Correct.
When it comes. And
Because
that's
it is-
the privacy concerns.
Yeah, because it's
surveillance.
ultimately tied to
Yeah.
a camera that's located at this location. So at some point, a certain person's vehicle was a certain location, maybe or maybe not at a certain time. I don't know if that information is recorded. I would imagine it's recorded within the, if the data points it records are a photo from this camera taken at this time.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess the other thing I'll point out is that it serves as a short-term investigative tool. The
Yeah.
data is only kept for 30
So,
days.
Right.
I guess the question comes down, let's just talk about dollars and cents. Now, at this point, there's grants that are paying for these additional cameras, correct?
The current cameras that are within I'll call it the county under the sheriff's office
Right.
purview are grant covered. The what's kind of brought
The
this
additional
discussion to
ones?
light is
Yeah.
the additional cameras that, in talking to the townships, they want the additional coverage with the cameras and have agreed to on their own funding.
So they're going to be paying
Paying-
public dollars for that increase of that network?
Correct.
Right, and there's not the anticipation that the county or the commissioners will be picking up that additional cost?
Correct.
And that's been, I had had that conversation with the sheriff, I think a couple years or a year or so ago, we had another resolution on this. And I think that was kind of the understanding at the time, and I'm fine to continue down that path of understanding, but in as much as we're having a public discussion of it, those are the things that concern me. The investigative use of that, I'm in full support of. My concerns go the second beyond the need for the investigative use, because essentially what we're doing is we're collecting thousands of images, and if 1% of those images become beneficial for an investigation, it's the other 99+% of those that I'm worried about.
But as
so.
part of that discussion, should a child be kidnapped? I think
I know.
it outweighs.
When- and when those-
If they can get a picture and save a child, I
Well,
think
it
it
comes down to who
outweighs it.
controls the data, who has access
Yep.
to it.
And
yeah.
I think the other thing to be careful about when we're having this conversation, because the vendor specifically is Flock. I've heard nothing specific to Flock that they're compromising data or anything like that has happened. But this is going to become too. You talk about innovations. I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here briefly, so just indulge me. In the days of when we first started paying with credit cards and plastic and all this stuff, nobody thought twice about punching their PIN in, and then you have a couple compromises through, either because the information wasn't properly safeguarded or other causes. And so if we were having this conversation after something like that happens, it's a very different dynamic because everybody could do the right things. Law enforcement can do the right things. The vendor can do the right things, and that data could still be compromised. And if that's the case, then we do kind of have that cost side to look at because you're right. The benefit speaks for itself as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
I don't disagree with that at all.
What they do under the contract have the ability to aggregate the data, aggregate the information, utilize it for the benefit of the system and law enforcement.
Right. Right.
It very much is akin to law enforcement standards. It requires, you have to put a reason why you're using the
Yep.
system, and the abuses of it, if there were any, would be handled in the same fashion if we had people abusing any other part of the law enforcement networks.
And like I say, the law enforcement use of it, I'm comfortable with the safeguards that are in place for that purpose. It's the purposes that go beyond that that are inadvertent. Because we have this database of information, because it exists, there's somebody trying to hack into it. There just is.
Yeah, and again, I think that most of the information that there is relatively benign to personal information. There's
Yeah.
no personal identifiers. There's nothing that is kept in their system
That's a
that
fair point.
third party accessing the flock database.
The
is
breach
on-
of that wouldn't be as
is
costly.
only going to get them pictures
Yeah.
of vehicles that were at a place at a particular point in time within the last 30 days.
Right. That's a fair point. So, but yeah, I'm in spite of all of that, I think the status quo with the townships who are essentially opting into it, that works for me. These are kind of bigger picture concerns that
And
we're
I
probably
guess
not going to
just
solve.
for clarity for the board is they're opting in at this particular point in time because we're at the renewal of the 3-year initial term that we're coming off of.
Gotcha.
So that's what is creating the current timing of everything is
Okay.
they weren't able to join in mid-term. Now that we're at the end of the term, which we do have funding
So-
for
so
moving.
To be clear, no additional cost to the county, with the expectation that the county picks up the costs of those additional cameras.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, all right.
Anything
All right,
else?
thanks. Sure.
Shouldn't pull a head off now.
Yeah. I bet you're wishing we had
Thank
this
you.
part of the discussion yesterday without me, right?
Yeah,
All right.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep. We have, you don't have anything else for us today, I don't think? Yeah. Sanitary, yeah, I think we were gonna, sanitary, we wanted to, there was an email that we got from Jeremy, and I asked Jeremy to be.
Oh, you wanted to-
available
yeah,
chat
sure,
about that.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yep.
Just come on up.
Morning, again.
Good morning.
We received that email from, there's 2 emails actually I sent yesterday. One was from our consultant, Hazen Sawyer, regarding the conversation that they had with the Ohio EPA and Mr. Gomes over at the Ohio EPA. We were looking into the Westfield wastewater treatment plant option as part of our special meeting a couple weeks ago. And essentially what came of that is that the current flow rate, I'll try to keep this as simple as I can. The current flow rate from the Westfield wastewater plant into the receiving stream, which is the Camel Creek, is already at a ratio. So they look at the flow rate of the stream, of the water source, and the flow rate coming out of the wastewater plant. There's a ratio that the EPA likes to be under. Once you start getting above that, the concentrations or water quality that you have to discharge becomes more stringent. For instance, let's just say for simple terms, that phosphorus limit is 10, okay? And we are twice twice the EPA's ratio limit. That means our concentration coming out of the plant has to be at 5, not 10, in order to not overload the water source with nutrients. So in their email, the EPA stated that it would be an uphill battle, essentially, and it would be very difficult to increase the current discharge capacity at the Westfield wastewater plant site. And I think Hazen was saying that we'd need to be in the 2 million gallon range to bring, roughly, to bring Chippewa down to Westfield. So you're going from a 600,000 gallon a day design plant at Westfield to approximately maybe a 2 million gallon. That ratio is already exceeded at Westfield's current wastewater plant. So
What's the design, what is the proposed design for the new Chippewa plant? Is that $1.5 million?
1 million right now.
But what's the proposed design is $1 million?
Yes, it can be expanded up to $1 million in the
Okay,
future if we
okay.
decide.
So that 2 would essentially be to take in their 600 in addition to the $1 million we think we need
Yeah.
and then have some overage.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
design it right up to the
Yeah.
average.
Yeah. You don't
flow.
want to keep
Yep.
it at the floor.
Correct.
Okay.
So that was the first email. Then the second email I shared was from the mayor of Village of Westfield, and in that email, they basically said that they would not be. I proposed a transfer of assets to them, as the county would not pay for their wastewater plant, as we would have to take over ownership of their sewer system. There's operational maintenance for that. We'd be responsible for the plant there. The village would be absolved of any type of any responsibility from the wastewater side anymore. They basically come back and said that they view that there's value in that, and that really a $0 transfer was not an option, and that they really didn't have a desire to sell the wastewater
I didn't
plant.
know we were offering them a $0 transfer.
I had my initial
Well,
conversations with them.
well, I
The
mean,
question is, would we want to borrow money and buy the plant? And
Well,
the system?
I would like, I
I-
would like a meeting with the,
Well, shouldn't we look and see if we can afford, how much money we'd have to,
no, I'd like I was reached out by a Westfield village councilman, and they really would like to have a meeting with us, the whole council. So I would love to invite them to a special commissioners meeting. I think because it's property, we'd be able to go into executive session. I'd love to throw them out a few dates that are available to all our calendars so that we give them a couple options, but
should we not look at the feasibility of buying it?
Well, I think that we need to have the overall analysis, right? I mean, because I think that factors in, I should say, to the overall analysis. Because if the because your email identified a couple of paths that one was pumping, one was moving to another, getting permission to go to another tributary, or there's some
From us building a new plant in the Westfield.
There,
Again,
right.
again, this was all just conceptual, but
Right.
yeah.
yeah, and
correct.
I'm not saying that anything was proposed. They would just like, after seeing the emails and stuff like that, they would like to just be part of a discussion with us.
And I think, to your question, don't we need to know if it's feasible? I think some of those parameters would dictate that, because we're going to have, there'd be some construction costs, there'd be some other costs that I think we're relying
I
on
mean,
Hazen to
But
analyze.
you've already indicated that the tributary it goes into can't take the additional capacity.
But there was another alternative to,
Piping it to,
I think it was pumping it approximately
to Killbuck.
2 miles.
2 miles.
To Killbuck, correct.
Yeah.
but that's a huge cost.
What we're doing now is a huge cost.
yeah, I mean, I think.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't give us any more capacity. That only takes a current plant that's finally been paid off, I guess, and then you're just
Westfields.
discharging it, Westfields,
Yeah.
yeah, Westfield, and you're gonna have to then upgrade that plant to take, if you're gonna then take everything from Chippewa and take it to Westfield. You're just adding more cost to only get about like 530 more customers.
But what we don't know is what that cost is until Hazen does the analysis. I mean, I'd like to see the analysis. If
Okay.
they say it's going to cost $150 million, then
Okay,
obviously
all right.
that's a non-starter.
Yes.
If they say it's going to cost $60 million, it looks pretty good. If
Why
they
don't-
say it's going to cost $80 million, and we've got another one that costs $80 million that doesn't get us any new customers, I'd kind of like that.
Why don't, okay, at the very best, if we could get the plant just as a straight transfer as Jeremy has proposed, do an analysis that way.
Yeah.
And that would give us the numbers. We don't need to, I mean, we can always meet with Westfield if we want, just to see what is between zero and whatever we'd be willing to afford to do that. But we at least ought to go with, if it's a zero cost in terms of transfer, but here's all the other upgrade costs, let's take a look at that, because I have a feeling it's going to be a whole lot more expensive.
The
than
amount
what we're
of
talking
upgrades
about.
we have to put into the system to make it work
Yeah,
for us
yeah.
would inform what we'd ultimately be willing to pay for it.
Agreed.
I mean, that- yeah, I-
Agreed. So
it-
I think that analysis ought to come first before we meet with Westfield.
I mean,
Right now, it's just a bargaining as to whether
it's
they'd like
more-
to talk about, they don't mind talking about the deal, but we don't know, we have no idea as to what we even have capacity to do, or what the price tag is. I'd like to know at least what the price tag is before we meet with them in executive session.
Yeah, either way, I think we need to do the analysis.
I agree.
So
No, I agree. No,
The order
we'll
of
do the
it,
analysis.
I guess I'm somewhat indifferent
Yeah.
on the order of it, because if they came in and said we want $100 million, I don't think they would.
Well-
If they say we want $100 million for a plant, that maybe then I would soften on the need to do the analysis preliminarily, but.
Well, if the deal doesn't work at $0 for transfer, it
Yeah.
definitely doesn't, anything
Right.
beyond that.
And
Like I said, I wasn't part of any discussions where we were saying 0 to them, so I don't even know why that happened.
What?
I-
Well, as part of the analysis, like I said, we could go at the threshold. I think the concept is, it's an asset. And it's a transfer, but it's also a liability, and all
Yeah.
the liabilities of that system, and the costs. So,
we're
you're
gonna have to
not
put
only
in the-
assuming an asset, you're also assuming all the liabilities.
And I think in that vein, a conversation with a bigger group of the decision makers there, we might be heard a little bit better if the whole council's in that meeting. So in that sense, there might be some, I don't know.
But if our analysis shows we can't afford it, even if it's 0, why would we
Yeah.
then go ahead and meet with them and try to negotiate a price?
Right.
Because if it already is
I don't even know
non-standard.
if they're asking to meet and negotiate a price. I think they're just want to be part of a discussion on possibles, on potential
Okay,
directions.
all right.
Nobody ever said price or, you know what I mean? Just they want to be part of the discussion, the council.
Well, and that's where I guess the bigger conversation really is to where we go from here overall, right? Because we've got a proposal for, a cost that, I have major reservations of undertaking for the Chippewa build plan. It sounds like the more we scratch the surface on this, we may end up with a similar cost structure. I don't know. I'm not willing to concede that until we see the analysis, but we may end up with a similar significant cost for this, this upgrade of Westfield scenario. So then I think the other thing we need to be doing in concert is laying out those costs along with kind of our plan for, revenues, and because we can't get to a situation where we undertake costs that are going to sink the whole operation with debt fees. So, we need to be considering, I think, maybe other alternatives too, if it's looking like the Westfield one isn't an option. But again, I think it's premature to say that. We haven't even authorized Hazen to start that process yet, so.
they have started working on the process to analyze that, and they're still moving forward with that.
Yeah, but that's where, to Steve's point, irrespective of what the cost of the
Plant is.
the
Yeah.
plant
And-
may be,
yeah.
when we get to the point of having that conversation, we need to kick the tires on what our viable options are, because I appreciate you bringing this to us and saying there are some concerns over the viability of that. But what I also saw was there is a path to viability there. And so then it becomes the bogey between the current proposal we have and the potential for an alternative that maybe once we kick the tires on the alternative path that's proposed, we have better ability to tailor that to the needs. Because when we talk about the Chippewa plant, any of the discussions we've had around, better tailoring that, I think we've zeroed in on what that structure, what that needs to look like. It's an $80 million build right now. But
88.
yeah, when we take a closer look at maybe the first option of expanding a plant in Westfield, maybe there's some other things that become apparent to us just by going through the exercise of the analysis. So I want that to be done. I want it to be done in a very thorough way. So we can consider that as a realistic alternative. And I don't mean that as a financial alternative. I mean, just realistically, what would it look like if that were our only choice? What if Chippewa didn't exist and this were the only thing we had? How would we make that work?
What's for the GMP, for the guaranteed maximum price, what's the threshold for that, the limit? Is it 60 days?
I think so. I'd have to double check that.
Okay. Can we,
I
are
can
we gonna
find
be
out
able to
like
get an analysis?
to how long they
fairly
would
quick?
hold that price.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought we talked about it at that price, we'd go out for bid anyway, at 88. you
Well,
know
we've
what I
talked
mean?
about trying to
They were gonna
see
ha-
what we could do with the CMAR
Yeah.
and the construction manager at risk, reworking that, identifying the wants, the needs, and all that other kind of stuff, and kind of going down and refining that. But we said we'd give them time.
But I think
And that's what the question is can we get an answer? Yeah.
I think it would be a mistake for us to only be doing one of these things at a time. I'm
well,
hoping
that's what I'm
that we're
asking.
doing
That's what
all
I'm
of those
asking.
things
I agree.
this whole
But we have
time.
to know as to when we need the answer to the other alternatives
Yeah.
we want to explore. Yeah.
But I mean, if the best we can do at the time that CMAR expires is the same 88 million we've got in front of us, I don't think we've got support for that. I mean, because I think we'd be talking about going back to bid or be doing something else. But the way that preliminary conversation went, we didn't vote on it, but I don't think we have support for it right now. So I think if I were handling that, I'd be looking at all of the options that we have, including tailoring back the proposal we have from the CMAR, in addition to other alternatives that may or may not be viable, but I don't see how we can know that until we actually have an analysis.
And Hazen has that third party reviewing the GMP to make sure that, I mean, their GMP might be solid, right?
Yeah.
We're just going to have that third party come in and analyze that.
But
number to
at that
make sure
point, I
it's
think we're
good.
talking about, at best, if we save, $4, $5, $6 million, which is money that I would prefer to save rather
Sure.
than spend.
100%.
But I don't know that that's enough to get me really comfortable that that's the best path forward for the system in light of the minimal customer base that we have down there right now. And, this other option, I think, holds some appeal because there are customers there. Maybe there aren't that
Well-
many, but there are new customers there, and we don't have any other real imminent ways of expanding the system in that part
So
of
if we're
county.
basically not going to be able to come up with I guess, an expectation that we can quickly do the other analysis of all these other options in time that the CMAR would no longer be effective, should we even bother having them do that?
I don't think
It's a lot of time and effort. That's what I'm asking.
My take on that
Yeah.
is maybe they will come up with a number that makes us a little more eager to move forward.
Okay, all right, okay.
I mean, I don't see a downside to that.
Okay.
You're right. I think it seems unrealistic based on the discussion we had here 2
Yeah,
weeks ago.
yeah.
But maybe miracles have happened.
Okay.
maybe one will happen.
Knowing that we're
It's
looking at
Christmas.
these alternatives, a little pressure to kind of refine.
I don't want to say it in so many words, but
Okay, all right.
To your point, Steve, I don't mind waiting for more analysis before we invite other entities to meetings. I'm
Okay.
fine with additional
All right.
analysis first.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, I want some hard analysis, not just estimates
Even
or
with-
maybe this or maybe that.
Even if we were to meet with them, we'd have to have some numbers, we'd have to have some estimates. We ought to have some analysis to talk.
the village, you
Discuss with them. We need to discuss before we meet, I think. Yeah.
to your point of the
Yeah.
universe of things that have to happen. Maybe that's not top of the list, but I think before any decisions get made, we definitely would have a conversation with them.
Absolutely.
So
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I don't think maybe that's not the first thing we do, but
Right.
it's on the list.
Because
of
right now
things
it's
that we
all
wanna
just
do.
theory until we actually
Yeah.
do the analysis. Okay,
Yep.
got it. Okay.
Do you need any other direction from us?
No, I'll just keep working forward with Hazen to get the analysis done on Westfield. I think that we talked about maybe mid-January that they'd be able to have that. We've already supplied them the construction plans
Sure.
from Westfield, so they already have those and
Good.
start chewing on that. So hopefully we'll have something, like I said, in the next few weeks, or
Okay.
this time next month.
Next month. Good.
All right,
Great.
sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Anything else? No? Then, did you have anything?
Yeah, a week from tonight, well, we're meeting with the Fair Board to go over the information from the company that we hired to evaluate the property.
That's great.
Good.
So
Super.
that's a week from tonight on the 16th.
Good. Great. Nothing?
I have nothing else. Thank you, everybody. We will, I'll entertain a motion, and then we will see everybody next week.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second motion?
Motion, second, roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yeah.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Now that we've done this.
Now
one, I'm
investment
not-
advisory.